Brooke Linman lives on a quiet street in Mira Mesa.
Hi, guys. How's your day?
She has 3 young children.
This one, kindergarten. So kindergarten, preschool, and Gage, do not climb on the couch. Third grade.
And a daughter who's a senior in high school.
What?
Can you hold me?
Linman's living room is filled with mementos from her 8-year career as a firefighter. A blackened object sits on the mantel in a glass case. It's Linman's badge. She was wearing it on the day she almost burned to death. It was Sunday, October 21st, 2007. It was hot. Santa Ana winds were blowing. Linman was at her fire station in San Marcos.
And we heard the fire start in South County on the radio. And it was just one of those days you woke up and you knew just this was going to be a good fire day.
Shortly after the fire broke out near the town of Portero, Linman's crew was sent to fight it. They raced along Highway 94, trying to save homes. After an hour or so, they were summoned to a property where the fire had just burned through.
Oh, here we go.
The property owner, Thomas Vorschach, and his teenage son, Richard, were trying to save their house.
That's their property.
Linman saw smoke billowing up around them.
I remember being surprised because we were in the middle of burn, which for a firefighter, that's the safest place to be. The fire's already gone through. Burn doesn't burn, usually.
Linman's crew drove to Vorschach's house and surrounded it with hoses.
So yeah, the house was over here.
Despite blasting it with water, the home was quickly engulfed in flames.
Again, the house.
Oh, boy.
There's the fire truck.
Everyone piled into the fire engine to escape, but the vehicle was stuck.
That's where I was sitting right there.
The heat was building up around them. Linman's captain yelled out to put fire shelters in the windows.
And then hit us from right here.
Linman was reaching for her radio to call for help when the windows exploded.
I remember dropping the radio and sinking into my chair and just having that thought that I can't believe I'm going to die in my fire engine right now.
Linman felt ready to give in. Suddenly, she remembered her daughter's face.
And I had distinct thoughts of her and seeing her, and I sat back up and said, no, you're getting out of this fire engine right now. You're not dying today.
One by one, the crew and the Vorschach squeezed out of the vehicle. When it was Linman's turn, she jumped out into the flames and ran.
And I jumped out the driver's side, and I ran this way.
After a few moments, Linman stopped. All was quiet. And then the pain hit. Linman realized she was on fire. She grabbed her water bottles and poured them over her head. Linman had lost her helmet. Her face was scorched, and her hair was burned off.
And then I heard Richard scream. And it was one of those screams that just chills you to your bones. And I turned and I looked, and there he was walking towards me, and he was standing like this, and skin was hanging, and he was full of soot, and he was just in agony.
Linman forgot about herself.
And I've told Richard to this day, you saved me that day, because I think I would have gone into shock and just laid down and given up. And as soon as I heard him and saw him, I know I have a patient. I have a job to do.
Linman got out her fire shelter and grabbed the teenager.
And I, with one foot, held the shelter, and with the other arm, held the shelter, and with my other leg and arm, held him. And these were like the rocks I held Richard under the shelter on.
The next thing she knew, a helicopter landed close by. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.